Welcome back, and we continue talking cricket. Veerasamy Permaul took the first 5 wicket haul of his Test career in a dominant Day 2 performance for the West Indies in the second Test against Sri Lanka in Galle, which was again affected by rain. Resuming on 113 for 1, Sri Lanka lost 9 wickets for 91 runs as the spin duo of Jomel Warrikan and Permaul ran through the batting, sharing 9 wickets. Permaul celebrated his first Test appearance since June 2015 with brilliant figures of 5 for 35 from 13 overs as the hosts were dismissed for 204. This is Permaul speaking at the close of play.
First of all, I want to thank God for giving me the opportunity. I'm very overwhelmed by getting the first Test 5 wicket haul. I think over the years been working hard to get back in the team, and now it really paid off. First of all, I tried to adjust to the condition and see what pace is good for the wicket, and I think adjust and control and try to spin the ball as much as possible, and that really brings me success. I think moving forward, I think it's very important that we stay consistent as a bowling unit, be patient and don't look for wicket and try to create opportunity rather than go out and look to get a wicket by experimenting.
The Windies reached 69 for 1 at stumps, trailing by 135 runs. Here to review the day's play with us is our international cricket commentator, Fazeer Mohammed. Faz, welcome.
Good to be on the show once again, Mariah.
Happy to have you, and happy that you made the, sacrifice to be here with us, because we know the time back where you are. So we'll start
it's fine.
We'll start by talking about the man at the top of the discussion, Veerasamy Permaul, getting the opportunity and taking it with both hands and delivering.
Yeah, and credit to him, because it could have been easily a situation where the pressure of playing your first match, as he mentioned, for 6.5 years, you have been trying too many things. And it was interesting, he said in the final comment that we just highlighted, that it's about just being patient and not trying to experiment too much. And I thought they got it right. When you compare to what the Sri Lankan bowlers did, you got the sense that the Sri Lankans were almost reflecting a bit of arrogance, as if they were saying to themselves, well, if Permaul and Warrikan could do it, we could do that even better. And therefore, they almost took it for granted that just by putting the ball in a spot, the wicket would follow. And real credit to Permaul for taking advantage of this opportunity. As he would have mentioned, there would be that pressure on himself, knowing that there would be a level of expectation. There's so much speculation about who should or should not be in a West Indies team. There's been a lot of expectation for those who would have been anticipating his selection since last year for the Tour of England, and he took advantage of it. So credit to him, and let's see how he goes from here, because of course the West Indies don't play another Test match until March of next year against England. But the immediate challenge for him and for the West Indies bowlers again will be the second innings, because if the rain allows, the West Indies do have to try to push for that win to level the series. And credit as well to Jomel Warrikan for playing his part. You don't often see 2 left-arm orthodox spinners in a West Indies Test lineup, and they delivered, and credit to them.
Faz, and after such a disappointing showing in the first Test, we get the sense that they've been spoken to. You're closest to the action. We're now 69 for 1. Do you get the sense that the approach, the way the players are approaching this second Test, there seems to be improvement, or am I just reading too much into that?
We'll have to wait and see, Mariah, because there's a definite improvement. You can see it by the results so far. The heads didn't drop after that century opening stand between the pair of Dimuth Karunaratne and Pathum Nissanka. In fact, up to the second morning, it was 139 for 1. And it was looking, well, okay, here goes Sri Lanka again, maybe a 300-run total, and the West Indies will be struggling once more. But they really worked hard, and yes, there were some poor shots played by the Sri Lankans along the way, but the West Indies took advantage of their opportunities. And to get another opening stand of over 50, 62 in fact, for Brathwaite and Jermaine Blackwood. Blackwood is no opening batsman. He's never opened in first-class cricket before the first Test match. So again, this was a good effort, and it's really important now for Bonner and Brathwaite, once play starts on time, late tonight, Caribbean time, that they do build on this platform, because 69 for 1 could easily become 83 for 4 and so on and so on. So they really need to really stick to it. If today's a full day's cricket, West Indies should be batting for as long as possible to at least try to get a decent first innings lead.
Fazeer, looking at Jason Holder's numbers from the first test, he bowled 19 overs in the first innings, wicketless. He bowled 5 overs in the second innings, wicketless as well. He bowled 8 overs in the first innings for Sri Lanka in this test, wicketless as well. In the first test, he shared the new ball on both occasions. Is it that we should not read anything into those numbers because of the nature of the Sri Lanka pitches? Or is it that the batsmen are finding him easy to play and he's non-threatening? What should we read into those figures? None for about 30-odd overs so far on tour.
I think you've got to recognize that he's been given the responsibility to open the bowling in conditions that aren't fast bowler friendly, 1. And 2, he went past the edge a number of times on the first day of this second test match. And we know that Jason Holder is not your ideal strike bowler. That's really not his job. He's a containing bowler. He can have some devastating spells. We've seen that, and that's why he's at the top of the rankings when it comes to test match all-rounders. So he's certainly worth his place in the team, certainly worth as an option to open the bowling as well in test matches. But it just hasn't gone for him this time around. And again, let's not forget, and we only learned this hearing from Roddy Eswick at the end of the first day of this second test match, that it was always on the cards to leave out Kemar Roach for the first test and play him for the second. And that's all about man management. And we didn't hear that as an explanation after he was left out of the 11 for the first test match. It would really be useful if we were to get these insights, because I don't think it's offering any trade secrets to let us know that these players are being managed, whether you agree with it or disagree with it, because that's what so many other test teams do. But in answer to your specific question, it is disappointing, yes, but I wouldn't say that it automatically means that Jason Holder should not be using the new ball in these types of conditions. And
of course, as West Indies cricket fans, Fazeer, we were spoiled. So we were regaled with tales of Malcolm Marshall on a dead pitch, cutting his run-up and running in and bowling off cutters and getting wickets and so forth. And the numbers, as they stand now, will be used by someone not too long from now to criticize Jason Holder for being toothless and benign on the Sri Lanka tour. Did you see him as he go through his work? Were the batsmen trying to just see him off or wait until he finished his allotment? Were they attacking him, playing and missing those edges that you say that he missed? What was the batsman's approach to him in the 3 innings that you've seen him so far?
Well, it was a combination. Because, for example, the first ball he bowled in overcast conditions on the first day after all of that rain, he was driven straight back past for 4. But thereafter, he adjusted his line length, went past the outside edge a couple of times, as I mentioned. So I think it's a combination. And yes, people will look at the bare numbers and say, why is he being given the new ball? It's a waste of talent and a waste of an opportunity. Why shouldn't you give Jaden Seals? I certainly felt that Jaden Seals should have been playing ahead of Jomel Warrican, and I've already been proved wrong because Warrican has taken 4 wickets in the first inning. So at the very start of his career, Jason Holder was someone who bowled long spells and hardly would get anybody out. And the feeling was that, I mean, why is he even being given the ball as a possible frontline bowler? But he's responded magnificently since then on many occasions. And yes, this time around it's really tough for any seam bowler in these conditions. Kemar Roach went for 6 overs for 12 runs without picking up a wicket, didn't look particularly threatening. So I've seen enough of Jason Holder to tell me that a couple of spells where he goes wicketless doesn't really mean that he's at the end of his tether by any stretch of the imagination.
Quite so. The issue of Joshua De Silva, you would have heard from where you are, you read everything. They call in the Caribbean to elevate the Trinidadian to the opener slot in the test team. And I know that certain people feel a particular way about asking their test wicket keeper to then open the batting. They call for De Silva to open. Nonsense or good sense?
I think it's worth consideration. It really is up to Joshua De Silva himself as to whether he feels comfortable doing that, because he's also the wicketkeeper. And there is an element of mental and physical fatigue attached to that. But he does open the batting for his club. He has batted at the top of the order for the emerging players 11. He scored quite a lot of runs at the top of the order or near the top of the order in regional competition. And we all know there's a huge gap, George, between first-class cricket in the Caribbean, limited over cricket in the Caribbean, or any type of limited over cricket, and then test cricket, because there's a different type of situation, there's a different type of pressure, and it could be a case if you spent a day and a half or 2 days behind the stumps up and down, and then you're called upon to go out right away after 10 minutes to open the batting. That could be a real strain on that individual. But he would be the first to have done it if he's called upon to do it. And really, it's up to him. If he feels that this is a challenge that he can take on, then maybe he deserves an opportunity, because we continue to struggle with this opening position as far as consistency. But again, I wouldn't want to have a situation where someone takes it reluctantly, because that could create an additional pressure on the individual. He's doing quite well in the middle order. But if you're coming to the crease every time with 5 and 6 wickets down and barely 100 on the board, it presents a different type of challenge. But I think it's worthy of consideration. But at the end of the day, it really is about him feeling comfortable if the selectors want him to be at the top of the order.
Hear you on that. Excellent. Thank you very much, Fazeer. All the best as usual. We continue to watch this test and hope the good performances from the Caribbean men continues.
Let's hope so. Take care.
Good. Fazeer Mohammed there speaking to us. Time to take the break. Back with more on the SportsMax Zone after these.